Awesome. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Unblinded Morning Huddle, the #1 place to start your day with a daily dose of integrity-based human influence. My name's Fernando, and today is Trajectory Tuesday, and we have Mr. Callaghy sitting in, ready to go, unblinded gear and all. What's present for you today, sir? We got a couple cool folk we're going to call up. Please start us off.
Yes, what is present for me is we're just smoothing out a couple technical details. So thank you for your patience with that. We have a little bit of music in the background, so thank you. What is also present is massive gratitude. In New Jersey today, it has been a challenging winter, challenging time with Corona, but it is gorgeous the second consecutive day. What is present for me is like pineapple juice, Fernando, and the fact that the ocean is 64.6 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the warmest it's been yet this year. And just over the weekend, it was 57. So a 7.6 degree increase is like night and day difference. To give example, 57 is, I believe, the temperature of Tony Robbins' cold water plunge in his yard. Separate footnote in self-mastery, I witnessed Chris Crone, the prior record, at least is what the Lions announced, was that the prior record in Tony's cold water plunge was 4 minutes. Chris Crone went in for 12 minutes. Dude. It was one of the most unbelievable things I ever saw. So what I am present to, in my excitement energy of today, is gratitude for everybody being here, and the fact that I'm going to find a half an hour, Fernando and everybody, to be in that ocean and surf some waves today. I am present to low tide. Was 7:30 a.m. today in Holgate, and so I'm present to we are slipping away from low tide. I'm present to the fact that since 6 a.m. this morning, warriors like yourself have been on phone calls and doing things as I was and some other fine folks. Peter Swain, thank you for your time this morning and a beautiful phone call that we had. So I am present to energy, excitement, and enthusiasm on this Trajectory Tuesday. Again, capturing all kinds of things going on in the world. We'll touch on that in a bit. Heart heavy for pain. Lightning bolts of disruptions present for disrupting constructs, problematic and not serving. I'm also present for the reality that the solutions are complex to arrive at optimally. Pausing on all that. Fernando, everybody, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. So let's bring some fine folks up, and what do you got in store, sir?
Awesome. So we have two amazing, beautiful, powerful women jumping up that we had some conversations with yesterday. Unblinded team, if you can support in bringing in Michelle B. and Jacqueline Franchetti. Let me just double check. I believe I saw their names on here already. Michelle and Jacqueline Franchetti, if we can tag them both in. I'd like to just have a few conversations with them and just share with everyone in the movement. So Unblinded team, if you can support me on bringing them in, that would be incredible. So if you're out there, let me just get a note. And Sean, as we go out there, I can kind of set this up. I see Jacqueline is here. So let's start off with Jacqueline as she's here first. So I will let her add some flavor. This is what we spoke about yesterday. We spoke about many things, especially about bringing the formula to those that have gone through domestic violence. And that's a conversation in itself. One of the topics I wanted to bring up here in service of everyone and 10 by 10 was that there's like a thinking, not right or wrong, simply a thinking that, yeah, I'm part of a chamber or I'm already part of another group. That's my 10 by 10. I don't need to create another one. So what I'm looking to speak about is, the thought process behind that on Jacqueline's end. And then Sean, what are your thoughts on, I'm part of a chamber. I'm already part of like a mastermind. It's the same thing. So if we could.
So ready? So Fernando, I love you. And I'm going to just establish a disruptive lightning bolt dynamic. I want to begin spending less time and energy talking into the listening of 0 to 5 folk, right? We're doing it today and that's fine. And I appreciate Michelle and Jacqueline enormously. But I don't want to spend time in the 0 to 5 people. I want to be spending as much time as possible moving people who are at like 8s, 8.5s, 8.9s into the 9s, and people in the 9s to 9.999s. And that's not saying that that's who Michelle and Jacqueline are, but I want to begin to shift like your energy collectively, everybody, from like, if somebody's telling you they're part of a chamber and that's their 10 by 10, then I'm saying this honestly and openly and lovingly in my heart, they either have massive knowingness and ego, and or your scotoma creation skills and influence mastery needs extraordinary work, because nobody is saying that to me. So I just want to like drop in truth. Like nobody is saying that to me. Now, and by the way, I have direct conversations. Maybe some people are saying, well, I'm not in the room because they're like nervous to say it or something. Like I get that. But the people I am talking to and saying this makes sense for you to do are saying yes and doing it. So I want to close the gap. And this is exactly how I communicate to my Caligula Law team, because we've run different dynamics that have been related to ecosystem merging. We ran practice mastery events back in time, and we benefited extraordinarily. And there were people who came and went and things that happened and didn't in the space of healthcare and medical. And some people on my team be like, oh, like they just don't really care. They don't get it. I'm like, well, they're not getting it. They get it when I talk to them. So like there's a gap, and there's no ego in it. This is an influence mastery question. So I'm happy to drop in on this, but we are speaking into 0 to 5 category right now. 0 to 5, again, being represented as the people who are clueless, who are currently under our unblinded model, still blind, not the people who get it and at some level of knowingness and they're missing distinctions, certainly not the 9s, the people who are like, I got it and I'm accelerating. So yes, in that prism, we are in 0 to 5 conversation. We are potentially chasing some of the lost right now is where we are, but that's okay. As long as we are present in this conversation, Fernando and everybody, is like integrity-based scarcity, right? Fernando, drop in.
Right. So Jacqueline, can you add some, flavor to what I shared, and maybe we can go through some distinction, and Sean, loud and clear.
Okay. Well, I thought we were addressing the domestic violence element. Okay. So, what I called Fernando and started to discuss with him yesterday was the facts that I want to start to explore if there's an opportunity of bringing Unblinded to the domestic violence community. I have wonderful relationships, deep relationships with people there. And it is a community that, is not only been hard hit by the coronavirus, but certainly lacks a lot of job training skills. And, for them to learn some portion of integrity-based human influence, I think could be a complete game changer for them. And I know you've been doing things with Kirk Adams and the American Foundation for the Blind. And I wasn't sure if there's an opportunity for us to explore it with the domestic violence group. And I would certainly love to see if that's a possibility and how we can go about that in terms of me leveraging my ecosystem there.
Yeah. And Sean, if I can jump in before you jump in.
Yeah.
So definitely touch on that. We came up with a roadmap. If we can speak through this prism, and then you can bazooka whatever, is how creating a 10 by 10 is the path to what Jacqueline said.
Yes. So answer is, Jacqueline, unequivocally yes.
Mm-hmm.
In the 10 by 10, right? It doesn't have to just be let's take chunks. Every group of a 10 by 10 should be selecting, to me, 1, 2, or 3, heavily influenced by the leader of the 10 by 10, of course, 1, 2, or 3 charitable causes that they're interested in contributing to. And clearly, Operation Underground Railroad, the AFB are high on the list overall for Unblinded. Those are causes that I am actively give to and or am involved with, right? Mm-hmm. I am involved with. I mean, of course I am. I mean, I've yes, in massive ways, I've given, and I share this just like factually so people don't leverage names, to both of those causes in 2020, I have given at least 6 figures. Plus, I have done other things. Okay. So I just, so I don't like drop names and say, oh, I gave $500. I'm not belittling anything, but I don't want to like represent something in a way that's like, oh, like you're leveraging the name of, because I do think people do that. So whatever I've done. If that's a little or a lot, I'm not saying, that's what's occurred, right? So in the space of domestic violence, that is another of course, unbelievable cause. And I would say, first, let me speak into the 10 by 10, then about Unblinded. So we talked about different causes. My recommendation would be, as a part of everybody's 10 by 10, that there is one of the people either are from or substantially involved in a cause. So in your 10 by 10, like for example, on Adam's team, Kirk Adams is on that team. Okay. So suggestion would be, I mean, you are substantially involved, Jacqueline, but I would say your 10 would be somebody in that world. And use the 10 by 10 to drive and grow. That's one thing. A secondary thing is, I don't know how to do this yet, but I'm very open to creating a grouping, Jacqueline, for Unblinded called, and asking if Kirk would be on it, Tim Ballard or somebody from Operation Underground Railroad will be on it, yourself. So there would be the contribution arm of Unblinded to make sure that, because what I don't want to do, my giving of whatever I gave is not going to change the unemployment rate for the blind. My giving what I gave is not going to end sex trafficking, right? My giving a similar amount to ending domestic violence is not going to end domestic violence, right?
Right.
It requires money, time, and energy and structure. And that's what you're living. And I'm not speaking to you, Jacqueline, I'm speaking to everybody because you live that, right? You're out changing laws. Like, you're giving money, you're also out there negotiating with politicians. Like, you are living what we're talking about. So I'm saying this to everybody else. Like, you're living that. You're living it more than I am, right? Like, it's unbelievable what you're doing, right?
Thank you.
So thank you. Like, you are doing more to end domestic violence than I am to change the rate of unemployment for the blind. Like, I'm very comfortable saying that, right? So we deal with like factual reality. You're doing more to end domestic violence or to keep people safe from domestic violence than I am to free people from sexual slavery. If you netted out time, energy, money, like the whole thing, right? So I'm present to that and grateful for that. Thank you for the great work you're doing in the world, okay? So what I'm saying is to do it in an ethically, an integrous way. But let me say something else. So I hope and trust that the money I gave, the right things are happening with it, right? I hope and I trust when I got the microphone and have promoted these different causes that there's efficiency in how they're spending money, time, and energy. I love Kirk Adams, and I believe that's the truth. And I believe the same, for Operation Underground Railroad, right? But like, I don't fully know, like I just don't, right? Mm-hmm. So my point is that in the work for Unblinded, and thank you so much for advancing this cause, I think we need, and I have my own Calgary Christian Foundation, right, that gives to these causes, that I don't raise any money for. It's only money I put in. I've never taken outside donation to my charity. My charity is 100% self-funded, okay, as a footnote. And maybe that should change. I don't know, right? But the question that comes up for me is, how can Unblinded, beyond the 10 by 10, make efficient and appropriate decisions about like programs for people? So question is, should we give X number of programs away to whom, or at a discount? Like, it's a complicated question that we could use help with. So what I am proposing, and I believe in your heart and integrity, is if you have any interest, I'm open to it. And I'm not saying I'm here for this, but a grouping that would support Unblinded in thinking through some of these issues. We're growing. There's a lot happening. And I know that people make really well-intentioned decisions. Like, I started giving away a lot of Christmas presents to an impoverished neighborhood like 20 years ago, or 22 years ago when I first started making money. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was doing the greatest thing in the world. I felt so proud of myself. And I found out that like people were like taking from each other, selling to somebody else, like drug dealers were involved. Like, this really happened. Like, I'm not making that up. And I was heartbroken. So I get the idea that like people give food and then it goes to like another country and then like warlords steal it. So I am very present to the reality that there's amazing amounts of inefficiency through the most well-intentioned contribution-oriented gestures. So my answer is yeah. And help, please, because I'm not quite sure what to do. I'll turn it back to you.
No, and Fernando and I were talking a bit about this yesterday during our conversation as we were ideating about it, because I certainly have a number of ideas, and those who know me know I am tenacious, but I am also very tactical in how I approach things, because I don't just do things to do things. I want things to stick. I want results. I want to generate change. And the disruptions that I'm making in the laws will be one element, but I want to disrupt the entire space and see how we can do this. And I have fantastic contacts specifically in New York State, which obviously is very close by, but we can really, I think, use, and I've even identified 2 different groups that we can target and pilot different things to see what would work and what yields the greatest amount of, results for this, and think it through.
So what
Sean, before you drive in, I just want to, if we can do like a final on with Jacqueline, and I definitely want to continue this. We also have Michelle I'd like to bring up today.
Michelle, I'm sorry, and or thank you for your patience. So final 30 seconds on this, Jacqueline.
Sure.
What I believe is what I'm saying would have a lot of value.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Organized forum. I talked to Kirk Adams about this, and like there's ways that contribution-oriented dynamics can be mutually supportive in creative thinking and how to do things. And I clearly, like if I could wave a magic wand and give free programs to people who would deserve them, who have a challenge and it would deserve them, that's the wrong word, that would benefit from them in the right way with the right incentive, because sometimes free equals like not valuable.
Right.
I want to do exactly what is best for people who need to get back to work that are blind, freeing girls from sexual slavery. And certainly I really have a high affinity and gratitude for you and everything you do. And this is a beautiful cause, right? And your leadership is apparent and present, right? So perhaps, and then we'll pause, if there's a way to like begin something at Unblinded, and maybe a conversation, it's a call with like Kirk, yourself, and it's like, do we have—
Would love it.
Yeah, like something, make something happen. My answer is I would love to. And like, you guys are incredible. So can I answer anything else right now? But the answer is yes, let's create that framework.
Great.
If we need support, we definitely need your leadership. But if you're interested, I'm interested.
Awesome. Let's make it happen.
All right, Jacqueline, anything else I can answer?
No, thank you very much, Sean.
All right, thanks, Jacqueline.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacqueline, and thank you for waking up at 5:30 a.m. to be here. As we transition over to Michelle, I believe a lot of what we touch with Jacqueline, we're going to touch here. It is just the truth of we need leaders in different spaces, especially in the service of contribution. I want to be very respectful and polite with Michelle. We spoke about jumping on the call this morning. This morning, she mentioned maybe not wanting to jump on the call, and we created a quick agreement to be on the call. So I will be, vague with description, and Michelle, you can add some flavor. Really, it's all in service of Michelle wanting to really work and contribute to a specific ecosystem demographic, feeling like the language may not be inclusive. So I kind of want to touch on that and really discuss why it's important to have a leader translate language in order to serve specific ecosystems. So Michelle, if you want to add some flavor to that, I'd love to kick it back to Sean for some thoughts about what we spoke about on our improv coaching call yesterday.
Sure. Thanks for the mic and the stage. And I'm just kidding. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Hey, Michelle, good morning. And I have no idea what we're about to talk about, and I can't wait to hear, because I love when you speak, and I'm super excited to hear you. Thank you.
I'm excited to be here as well. So I had a call with Fernando and Adam yesterday. And during the conversation, there was a real question about what I was doing to grow my 10 by 10. and what was stopping me from potentially growing. And you may label me as like in a space of 0 to 5 in terms of one of those people. But in fact, I would say I probably am a little bit higher on that spectrum at the moment, but trying to find a way to make it work in a space that would make sense for me in the work that I do.
Yes.
And so obviously, I had a huge scotoma and a breakthrough yesterday after speaking with Fernando. And he was really clear in just saying, you're working at a suboptimal level if you're not doing the 10 by 10 with you and what you're looking to do as the focus. And if currently the modules or the communication wouldn't land, or the way that it's presented and in Unblinded wouldn't land appropriately for the people you're looking to bring in, he said, watch the modules, take it upon yourself to recreate them, and do this work in a way that would land with the people that you're trying to hit. And so that was a huge scotoma for me, in that I was looking for the vision of bringing 10 people in and having them watch the business accelerator. And he was very clear in just saying, like, make it work for your group. Don't, because I was really struggling with where do I land in terms of Unblinded versus my world outside of Unblinded. And he's like, let's just make it work and figure out a way to work on the language, to work on presenting it in a way that would be universally designed to be accessible for the people you want to bring in. So that would allow me to do both with integrity to me, integrity Unblinded, and to integrity to building a community that's inclusive by design.
I love that, Michelle. Thank you. And I love the breakthrough. And the answer is, if we can support and make things more optimal and efficient and effective in different ways, and create additional dynamics, create, preambles to, or something, like, we're open. So thank you. Thank you for that leadership. And yeah, if everybody, let me say two things, if I could, and then Michelle, back to you. One, I am floored by what has happened in 6 months, that we have collectively created. The formula works, period. And in the only things that aren't occurring, there's certain things that have happened at unbelievable speed, certain things that haven't. And wherever it hasn't or has is because of the formula and what hasn't been executed or not. So we are solving behind the scenes for things like, how do we create more acceleration in all of the ways to match the energy, the intensity, and the desire of people and everybody. And some of the changes and transitions that we're going through in growth is the byproduct of feeling that we need to go faster. We need to be more open and inclusive. And by the way, I don't mean inclusive for a specific minority grouping. I mean, and I don't not mean that, I mean inclusive for, like, people and ideas and acceleration. And that has been a major shift over the past 8 weeks that you're seeing and experiencing, particularly over the last 4. So thank you, Michelle. And thank you to everybody for your patience, because there's been a lot of great ideas. And for some of it, it's been a little bit challenging to get to. For some of it, there might have been philosophical differences about people and their ideas and, et cetera. So thank you for that. And is there anything else that I could do or share with you right now?
Well, sure. I just want to say, when anyone's creating, and I know the ultimate goal of Unblinded is to create a frictionless consumer experience, right? And we know that you guys are starting this company and it's pretty early on. And so, and you don't have to take the entire, all of the different agendas, and that doesn't have to be your agenda, but just know that I'm committed to, in terms of inclusive language and making sure it's accessible to all types of disabilities. I'm happy to jump in and help in any way. Yeah, especially, for me, it's a lot about the language and the way the language lands. And by the way, Sean, the formula works, and that's where is my pain. because my pain lies in that this is so damn good, pardon my French. And I said this yesterday to Fernando and Adam, and it is so valuable. And so with a tweak or two on my end, and whether I do that separate and apart from Unblinded or alongside Unblinded or with Unblinded, there is a potential to gain access, for people to gain access to this in a way that I think will be, trajectory changing for everybody.
Yeah. Well, I'll say the same thing.
If you can take us on to our final five.
Yeah. So same thing I said to Jacqueline. I'm wide open, and I believe that part of why it hasn't gone faster is there just hasn't been leadership announced for it, right? So I'm open to that conversation, similar to what you said with Jacqueline, with a grouping of people who are working on different things in the space of what I'll call generally, for lack of a better word, contribution. And when I use the word contribution, because all words matter, I mean where there is a not-for-profit dynamic, but we're transparent here, okay? When you say not-for-profit, it still helps profit to be aligned with giving. Let us not be confused. Like, I am not confused that people love Oprah because she donates money to charity, and when she has somebody come on or she gives away, cards to the audience or to a cause, that people love her more. And being liked and loved is an element of influence. So intention matters. And we're saying two things, that we're not doing these things just to make money, because long before I was expanding my identity to a larger scale of the world, I was giving to causes that nobody knew about, right? So I know where my heart is. And I know this, that if the identity of Unblinded expands, it also will help the charitable causes, the contribution causes, the social good causes, the making the world greater causes that we're involved in. Like, there's a symbiotic mutuality. So it is present for me. We need to actualize it in a deeper way than, hey, Kirk is here. Hey, Kirk is in the 10 by 10. Michelle is here. Jacqueline is here. Operation Underground Railroad. Come to Tony's birthday. Those are beautiful things that I'm incredibly proud of. And I want to do more. And I want to do more systemically. I want to do more sustainably. I want to do more than simply donate. And I don't know what that looks like. And I don't know where the line of more ends, but I certainly know accessibility is included within that line. And I know more is included in that line. And I really appreciate it, Michelle. Any final from you?
No, just, I appreciate that there's constant reflection on your part and on your team's part. And I look forward to contributing in any way I can.
So let's have you part of that meeting. If there's a meeting in this contribution space, Fernando, let's hold space for it.
Got idea. Mm-hmm.
And to clarify, I work with the nonprofit space, but my company is a for-profit company. It's for a for-profit company.
Listen, understood. So maybe I'll have more optics offline with Fernando, and we can determine what should happen next. But I appreciate you. Your communication skill sets are incredible, and your depth of clarity in the formula phenomenal. And I was definitely not including you or Jacqueline in the 0 to 5 category. That's not what I was saying. Nor am I using that. So I'm not including either of you. Nor am I using it as a disparaging category. I'm saying that I've spent a lot of my life, right, trying to convince people of stuff that I wasted a lot of time and energy on, that I would have served them and me better had I just moved forward, done my thing, and then they would have joined later. Like, how to create a movement. People come in early, 1 comes in, then 5 come in, then 10 come in, then 20 come in, then 100 come in, then thousands come in, then millions come in. There's a sequencing to it. So let's not identify somebody. I'm not only speaking to you, Michelle, I'm speaking to everybody. Let's not identify somebody as somebody we absolutely have to have and take our precious resources of time and energy and become distracted. That's for everybody. So that's all I was saying. So thank you, Michelle.
Awesome.
Okay. So Fernando, last minute.
Yes. Thank you, Sean. First of all, hear this from me and the movement. We trust you. And those that are here that may not are curious. And what I would say to everyone is that who you see here is who Sean is, behind the scene, quote unquote. We did not have any conversations about this at all. I simply, said, hey, Sean, this is happening today. He said, yes. And it happened. And thank you, Sean, for being consistent on what I believed you would do and say. And to everyone, you know, this is real. I want to anchor on the power of leadership. We're not perfect, and we don't claim to be. The formula isn't perfect, and that to me is beautiful. So we are looking for leaders. We need leadership. And thank you for your patience and your understanding as leadership and structures are created, like the 10 by 10. And we want to commit to that. A shout out to Shannon O'Donnell being, you know, active in the chat. Rob Gill, I see your hand up, brother. You know, we're out on time. Jay, thank you for your leadership. Erica, thank you for being there to support people as well. Sean, it is Trajectory Tuesday, and I'm present to pride, excitement, and momentum. Back to you for final.
Yeah, Rob, just hit a comment in the chat. We'll bring Rob on tomorrow because we are trying to really shrink the timing of the huddle. So thank you, Rob, for the energy. Thank you, Shannon. Amazing job. But please hit a comment in the chat and be on tomorrow. Final is this. This works. We are not perfect. I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to make mistakes. But the mistakes I will typically make are mistakes of over-inclusion, of not being honest enough with people and their accountability. And I am committed here to loving, giving, and hitting lightning bolts of truth where they need be, including upon myself. So we can disrupt, create scotomas, move forward in acceleration. The 10 by 10 works because we are going to be bringing forth success story after success story. And that is why I am drilling into the people in the team at Caligula Law to accelerate. I'm bringing in accountability dynamics around it continuously and investing a ton of money right now in amazing, beautiful, wonderful people to expand our digital footprint, our external messaging, everything we're doing so that the world, we look like and feel like, and thank you to Shannon O'Donnell for her work here, that we look and feel digitally, messaging-wise, as the heart-centered, loving, Zeus-like, competitive, crazy, fun, magical people that we are. Have a beautiful day. Happy Trajectory Tuesday.